I've been playing guitar for almost 40 some odd years. I started playing when I was a young teenager. I heard records that just moved me. When I heard that music, I wanted to understand what it was about and where it was coming from. So I began a history lesson for myself to study this music because I didn't know why it made me feel the way it made me feel, but I connected with this music. So I started looking for records. Back then there was, there was no CDs, no cassette tapes, there was no internet. So I started looking for records, and I would go to record stores and I'd go to thrift stores, secondhand stores to look for records. And if a record looked good on the cover, I took it home and I put it on and listened to it. And it was a discovery for me. So reading the records, because records, back then they were this big, albums. And you look at the pictures and sometimes open them up and read everything, and it brought me in, it pulled me in. So, and at that time people were not listening to that kind of music. People my age certainly were not. So I was kind of a strange kid, kind of different. So I just started listening to these records and trying to figure out how were they making these sounds. So I would get my guitar and I'd try to learn, and then I'd put the needle on the thing and watch the record go around. I'd try to find it on the guitar, I'd take the needle off, and I wore out many records trying to learn how to play the guitar like that. And one record in particular was B.B. King Live at the Regal. It was recorded in 1960 something, early 60s, mid 60s. That record changed my life. It totally changed my life. So I started to try to learn all the things he was doing on the guitar. And at that time, there was a place in California, in Huntington Beach, right by the pier, right by the ocean, Pacific Ocean. And it was called the Golden Bear. It was a nightclub. And it had been there for many years. As soon as I was old enough to drive, 16, I would go there. And I would see who was playing there. And I saw B.B. King live there, and I saw Freddie King, and I saw Albert King, and I saw Muddy Waters, and I saw all these great blues people. And I got to see them close up, because it was a small nightclub. So maybe this close to them, I'm watching them play, and I go, that's what they're doing, so that's how they're doing it, So I just started going on a journey to try to learn how to play guitar. And that's how it started for me, just like that. As you evolve and your life changes, of course your music changes, because music is something that is your communication of what's inside of you. It's hard to put it into words because it's a feeling that's inside of you. And you try to create that feeling so people can see what's in your soul, It's the person who's creating the music is communicating with the audience what's inside of them that they can't put into words, really. I think music is one of the greatest forms of expression and communication throughout the whole world because it transcends language, barriers, borders, countries. It transcends all of that because people react to it. It's primal. It's like something from the beginning of time. So for me, I've gone through a lot of things. I'm 60 years old now, so I've been playing music professionally for almost 40 years, and I've traveled all over the world. I've got to play with some great musicians. I've been very fortunate in my life, and I've gone through things in my personal life that reflect in my music. I had cancer 7 years ago, and I went through 2 years of chemotherapy and almost lost my life. So that changes your life when you go through life experiences. So of course your music is changed too, because you're pulling from deeper things, you know? So I think that the process is still the same, but the person has changed as you evolve, you know?
I blew it and I let you go.